Day. I'm just going to give you all this reminder today. Remember, this is our natural state, is joy. And so during my mastermind the other day, I was like, oh my gosh, like enjoying life. I'm like, that's exactly what we're designed to do, is enjoy, like live, enjoy. So welcome to all of you. I finally remembered to use the fancy countdown that Myra made. Make sure you stay to the end so you see the other fancy thing that she made. It's a good thing my team is fancy because clearly I am not. So you didn't get to join Robin and I for the pre-broadcast conversation, but I was commenting on her beautiful new hairstyle, and she was kind of giving me this look like, are you really in a position to talk about hairstyles? So at any rate, like throw Robin some love and let her know how awesome her new hairstyle is. And we'd love to know who's with us. So if you comment, then we can know. So we're talking about purpose today, and I'm just going to do a couple minutes of bragging about this lady. And actually, you know what, Robin, let's go right to the beginning for those who are joining us and don't know your story of how we met. And I want to relate that to as well a lens of purpose. Like, what was going on then in your life? And let's put that through the lens of purpose. So go ahead.
Yeah, so we met, we're coming up on about 3 years ago now, almost 3 years now. And at that time I was pretty much in a dark hole. I wouldn't say I hit rock bottom, but I wasn't happy with anything. You know, practice wasn't great, home wasn't great. I was seriously considering getting out of practice. But I knew that it wasn't time for that yet. I knew that it's not where I just was in a really dark place. And I knew I either had to get out of it and change it, or I was done with the profession. So I went looking for some help, and you showed up.
Yay! And having to deal with my dog.
And yes, we had to wait for the dog to go out a couple of times.
That's a beautiful thing. So I want to actually just pause there for a second. So all of you heard Robin said, I was in a really dark spot and I was considering leaving practice. And yet in my heart, I didn't know what to do. Like, I knew that's not what I wanted. And, you know, it's so interesting how monkey mind, our habitual thinking, can cause us to see something here, but innately we know it's not right. We know it's not what we want, but we feel sometimes like I don't have another option. So I am so thankful that we met. So go from there.
So, you know, we got on our first coaching call, or our console call. I jumped in right away, both feet. Long story short, in the last 3 years, I completely changed mindset, figured out what my mission is, figured out what why I'm here, what drives me, what are my highest values, what is the most important to me, what's not important to me. And I mean, my practice has grown and grown and grown in the last 3 years, even through last year. Last year was my best year ever in practice. And now, I mean, I got married. And now I'm at a point in my life where I'm actually getting ready to sell my practice. I mean, officially I'm selling my practice and I'm moving on to the next thing. So a lot's changed in 3 years.
I love it. And created another stream of income, another business, another platform of authority and influence. And I love that platform was created out of something that a lot of people, it would have devastated them. And I love how you looked for the yes behind the no. So can we talk about what that was for a second, in case someone's faced with a situation that they feel is really going to break them? Your message could be an encouragement to be like, no, like maybe there's something for me behind that devastation.
Yeah. So the thing that had me so down in the dumps and really considering leaving chiropractic is I had a huge Medicare audit decision against me. And, you know, I was paying it off. I was trudging through it, but it really made me hate what I was doing. I lost all my gratitude for what I was doing. And again, just the mindset shift that you were able to give me really changed that. But then in the process of doing that, I also became a medical compliance specialist. So now I teach other chiropractors how to stay out of audits, what to do if you get into an audit, and basically just set up their compliance programs for their office to begin with. So, which is actually more of the avenue that I'm going to start going down here very soon, because I've worked so I worked so damn hard last year that I'm tired. that's how things have grown so much. It's gotten to the point where like I physically can't see more people in a day. And so that's kind of what has led me to what comes next.
I love that. And so, for a lot of people, they could have met with an audit of repaying the government over $200,000 and just been like, I want to like steer as clear from that as I can. And I love how you had to learn stuff about compliance and like in and through the audit. So you're like, I might as well just like take that bomb and throw it forward for something great. And you've already made back in teaching others how to be compliant, made back what you paid the government. So it's kind of like right there. And I love that. And it's really true. Like we either win or we learn. And so you chose to learn in order to win, which has been just a super fun process, like being on the sidelines and watching you do that and watching you step in and go from, when you first created the program, it was one-on-one, and then created it to be a membership site and just always moving to greater ease and expansion, right? Expansion of being able to serve more individuals, because we all have to be compliant. And I just want to set the record straight here. Whether you bill insurance or you don't, you still have a responsibility to be compliant. And so the chiropractic gossip ring that says, oh, if you're a cash practice, you don't have to do any of that stuff. That is not true. And part of what Rob is talking about with being exhausted last year, as the pandemic was going on, there were constant changes for compliance. And every single time, like Robin would study what came out and then tell all of us how it applied to practice and what you needed to do with your cleaning and how to stay compliant so that all of us could practice without fear. And let's face it, we're able to show up way differently and in our innate flow when we're not living in fear. So Robin, what's different now about purpose for you than like when we first met?
So when we first met, I knew I loved being a chiropractor. I knew I loved treating patients. And, I knew I loved seeing people get better and improve their lives. But I knew that there's something else that I'm supposed to be doing with that. I guess I knew that wasn't really going to be my end game, because what I was doing was the same thing over and over and over again, a lot of times a day in and day out, which is fantastic. I love doing that. But I felt like I was limited in the number of people that I could actually touch on my own. So, in just through all of the experiences that I've gone through in life and the things that I've seen and gone through, I also knew that I wanted to do more teaching. I really came to the realization that as I was growing up, I always had plans to be a teacher, not a doctor. And so it's been a really cool thing to see this thing develop. As I know that I am a teacher as a doctor, but it's a very limited one-on-one type of experience there. So what I've learned that I'm here to do is teach women to be empowered, teach women to be self-sufficient, not be dependent on anybody else for what they need for themselves and possibly their families. So I want to start with young doctors as they're in school, as they're just coming out of school, and teach them to be very empowered from the beginning so that nobody else dictates what it is that they want to do and can do. So in that way, I'm not just teaching somebody and touching somebody one-on-one. The more doctors that I can empower in that way, I'm helping them get chiropractic out to the masses. It's that ripple effect.
Nice. I love that. And it's so, I'm in awe of life, complete awe of life. And especially when we understand mind, thought, consciousness, and understand that our operating system, our innate intelligence is there, like bumping and nudging us all the time. And like, I'm fascinated with what you said. Like, I knew patient care wasn't my end game. Like you just knew it. Like, you don't know why, you just knew it, because like God put that idea, that thought, in your heart and in your mind. And so I ask all of you who are watching right now, like, what are you being nudged about? Are you being nudged about a relationship? Are you being nudged about stepping up in a different way in your practice? Are you being nudged to expand your team? Like, what are you being nudged that just doesn't go away? Like, it's something to be pursued. It's something to discuss. It's this. Enjoy, because joy is our most natural state. And when we're in that flow, it's amazing, all of the opportunities that just like, woo, there's another one, and there's another one, and there's another one. And it doesn't mean that we just chase them around. It means we surrender and see what's there. And I continuously see you doing that. And it's just really, really, really exciting. So congratulations to you for sure. And thanks for allowing me to be a part of it. What are your 3 tips for staying on purpose?
My 3 tips for staying on purpose is, first of all, knowing what your purpose is. You can't move towards a direction if you don't know what that direction is. Knowing what's most important to you. Know what are your highest values and what are not your highest values. And if whatever, opportunity or event that presents itself to you at the moment, if it's not going to get you to your mission or to your purpose, then really consider whether or not you're going to spend time on that. Don't step into doing something if just to make somebody else happy. Make sure that you're doing something on purpose. If this task isn't going to get me toward, one step further towards my mission, then I'm not going to spend the energy on it. And be okay with other people not liking that. Those are some things that I've really learned about myself. Is I'm here to further my mission. I'm not responsible for everybody else's feelings.
No, we absolutely can't be, right? Because our feelings come from our thinking, and we can't do anyone else's thinking for them. So it's so interesting when we really break that whole thing down. There isn't a person on the planet who wouldn't come back to saying, like, I know I can't control what people think. I know I can't control how people feel. And yet we do all of this habitual thinking, even though we know I have no control over it. So I invite all of you, when we get wrapped up in that habitual thinking of worrying about what other people think, to remember what you know, what's written in your innate intelligence, and that is you can't control it. And it doesn't mean we go around just pissing people off. It just means we live in knowing and observe our thoughts, right? And go, well, I can't do anything about how they think anyway. So I'm going to do my life, and whatever stories they concoct about what I'm doing and how it rubs them right or wrong, like that's their thing. It's not mine. And I just find there's so much freedom. There's so much freedom. So I don't know if you heard this the other day. So when we were at Peds Boot Camp at Sherman, we were in the Gilardi Center. And on Friday, there was this massive rainstorm. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's just like our thoughts, right? Like I could stand inside the Gilardi Center and watch the rain. Or if I wanted to, I could run out in the rain. And I could dance in the rain and be happy about it, or I could like stomp through the rain because it was ruining my hairdo, because actually I did my hair that day. But it's just like our thoughts and our thinking, right? Like we can observe our thinking, or we can like go totally into our thinking and just take it all on. Or we can be in our thinking and just be like, oh, interesting. Like I'm getting wet. Like, oh, this is really interesting. Like I'm angry. That's okay. But it's so important that we just recognize what that is. And I think that's what you're speaking about here in terms of knowing your highest values, like knowing your no.
Knowing that, and like if you get that feeling of, oh, I'm going to be mad about the rain, or you get any kind of feeling about anything that's going on around you, really unpacking that and understanding, why do I feel angry about the rain? Why do I feel anxious about this thing that's coming up? Because when you really go back to the very beginning about why you feel an emotion about something, you can figure out why, and you either get some gratitude for whatever initial event spurred that emotion to begin with. So, and I know that's a lot, but really listening to the feedback that you get from yourself, from your mind and your own thinking, and listening to that feedback and figuring out why you're getting that kind of feedback really helps you. Number one, it helps you find what your highest values are and what you really don't care for. And then it helps guide you into what you want to spend your time and your attention on.
I'm not going to play the devil's advocate here, because the devil doesn't need an advocate. But from my own experience, 52 years on this planet and being a coach for 22 years, I have often seen in my own life and observed in others that the question of why can lead us down this rabbit hole and just like being stuck. Like, so why am I not exercising? Why am I not doing this? Why? And sometimes we can just stop and go, you know what? Simply because I'm not getting my butt on the bike. That's the biggest why. Like, it doesn't have to be anything more than like, why am I not asking for referrals? Because you're just not. Like sometimes I find you don't have to get to the bottom of the why tunnel to take action. And sometimes do you find that by taking action, you can go back and observe and go, that was why. Like, I'm overweight. I know why. I'm not eating properly and getting on the bike. Like, there's no other big reason than that. And yeah, I could go through all of this stuff, but at the end of the day, it's just, I'm not taking action. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I think taking action is a huge part of it, especially if there's something that, you're avoiding doing, just because you don't like doing it for whatever reason. But then actually doing it, it kind of changes your mindset. Which just like when I first started with you, oh, I wasn't doing this and this and this because, well, I was scared. I was this, I was that. Well, shut up and just go do it. And then you realize that, well, it wasn't that bad. But then you can look back and be like, well, why didn't I want to do that? Well, here's why I didn't want to do it. And now I can understand that thing that happened. I have gratitude for that. I have gratitude for whatever caused me to not want to get on the bike, for whatever caused me to eat the crappy food. You just gaining gratitude for everything that's happened in your life is a huge, huge step to having gratitude and enjoying the moment.
Yes.
So that you're not judging. I just like what you put on there. Dump the judgment. Don't get out of judgment of yourself, get out of judgment of everybody else, get out of judgment of what you think happened, because actually whatever you think happened, somebody else thinks it happened way different.
Because we live in our country, not our circumstances. Right? I mean,
right.
What country is it that when there's a crime committed, they I don't even remember why I know this, except that I studied I had a class my last year at Michigan State called The Investigation of Violent Death, because I was pre-law. And while I was in that class, I was living by myself, and that's when they busted Ted Bundy. Like, talk about terrifying. And I had like one of those garden level apartments that, the windows are on ground level floor. So I would force someone in my family to be on the phone with me and stay asleep. And of course that wasn't cell phone times. That was like the corded phone, right? So it was like totally stretched out. But going back to, so what they do to help solve crimes is they have a day where they reenact the crime scene. And then they have people who are like, the community knows about it, right? So then they come and give their 2 cents. And it's interesting how many eyewitness accounts, totally different what they saw. Like, how can that be? How can we see something completely different? It's because we live in our thinking and not our circumstances, which is the greatest invitation to me to dump judgment. Like the club that we all beat ourselves up with, the guilt, which I truly believe that guilt, we use guilt to beat ourselves up so other people won't do it. Well, what if we just like stop judging completely? Self, especially, like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Like, okay, you did it. Like, just lean in. And that's what you're saying.
That's totally what I'm saying. And there's sometimes where I think that I've done something that's so fantastic for somebody else. And I'm like, oh, yay, me, I did this great thing. And that person's over there like, that was crap.
Right.
You just screwed me over for whatever reason. And I'm thinking I just did the greatest thing for them. So even though I think that it's something good, they're thinking that this was a horrible thing that I've done against them. And so there's judgment all around. So, we do what we do and it is what it is. And it doesn't matter what your intention is. Not everybody's going to perceive it the same way you are. So just do what you're going to do.
I love that. It's Michael Neal talks about, no, really. Next. Like, it's really okay. No, really. Next. And it's just like so much easier to be, I think, in that flow of life. And I referenced it the other day of like, have you ever gone to a water park and there's the lazy river? And you can just like jump on the lazy river and, wave to all your hands. Or you can be in a raging river, which takes a tremendous amount of energy. Well, I think this is a lazy river. It's our natural state. And the raging river is this. The monkey mind, habitual thinking, which is really no different than in the nervous system, degenerative changes and subluxation. Makes life way more difficult to live in interference than in our natural state of above, down, inside out. Hey, this was so much fun.
It's always so much fun when we get together.
How many lives do you think we've done together over the last 3 years?
Oh, man.
So many. So many. And thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate how much you love people and love life. And it's fun to watch you just continuously grow and expand and grow and expand and grow and expand. And for all of you who are watching and maybe your monkey is saying, like, I'm already full in my practice. Like, I get that. Recognize that expansion isn't just in our practices, right? Expansion is in our lives. Like I said to Ben the other day, I can't announce all the stuff that's happening, but I was like, at the end of Michael Neal's book, he says, eventually your life can be such that your reality is even greater than your most amazing dreams. And I feel like I live there. And it's in joy. It's in joy because that's our natural state. It's not something we have to try and pursue. That's our natural being. And I see you living that, and it's really fun. So great job.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for recognizing it.
You're welcome. No judgment. So to all of you, God bless you all. Have a wonderful day. If you're in the boot camp, we've got 14 minutes before our private webinar on let's get paid a lot more and serve on a way higher level for those PI cases. I'll see you on Zoom. Bye. Oh, wait, don't go yet. Don't go yet. Hold on.